fan. This is your boy J Money here. We have another first place deck profile from this past Sunday. This is a little bit unorthodox and I've never covered this. I played with it a couple times. I thought it was interesting, but I was more interested in other variants. But this variant did nice. And that, first off, it's Nekroz. It is a Nekroz deck. Again, I'm telling you guys, I'm on a water craze. I've been on a water craze. Just all these water decks, man. It's crazy. But this isn't just Nekroz. I bet you guys have not seen this kind of variant of Nekroz. I've been on and off on this before. Ever since Deep Sea Minstrel came out, you know, people started teching Minstrel in their Nekroz decks because it snipes preemptive hand traps and stuff like that. But I decided, and this is like a while ago, but I haven't revisited this idea until just recently. Just why not just play a whole Deep Sea engine, right? To where you have like a second way to play, like almost like a second win con. Because then when you go into your, and then I won't explain too much. I'm just gonna go to the deck profile. Deep Sea Nekroz. Alright guys, here we are at the deck profile. This is Deep Sea Nekroz. This is a 60 card build, mind you. The deck it's just more and more resources and more ways to play the game essentially, and you can play a much bigger grind game and long game overall. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get started, but we're gonna start off with, we're gonna do this by like engines first, because there's actually a few of them in this deck. So we're gonna start off with the Nekroz engine. 3 Baronic, gets you any Nekroz spell or monster spell or trap, i.e. Colossalus. And 3 Unicorns, it's like the card that you, even just at the end of the day, if you don't have anything else, you kind of just want to sit on it. Yeah, send Arclight and add more cards. 3 Colossalus, there's a reason why we're playing 3. It's because you want to put a water monster in the graveyard as often as possible. Also, since you are playing 60 cards, you may not be able to get to your ritual spells as easily as well. So it does fulfill multiple purposes for it being at 3. So next we're gonna go over the 1-ofs. 1 Valk, 1 Trish, 1 Gungnir. This is a little bit important for side deck, as well as yeah, other side deck actually. And the fact that it just, against some matchups, like especially when Butler was just like running around rampant, you really want Gungnir in your main deck and access to it almost like at all times. And the last one is this big boy right here. You do just want to negate. Being able to tribute off like small stuff just for free negates is very, very valuable. It's super big, 3,300. And so you can still use Shurit for the tribute, you know, just to fill the whole ritual summon. So it makes it a-okay. But outside of the Nekroz monsters, we're just on the typical 2-2-2. Some people are on 1 cycle and like 2 mirror. I don't know what's up, but you just want to see. You don't want to see too many of these spells, but you want to have enough access to them. Again, you want grind games. You want to be able to at least play somewhat of a long game, especially with a lot of these grindier matchups and all that. Like if you're not playing against like Sword Soul, you're going to be in for some kind of a grind game, or no, my bad, Sword Soul or Birds. So that is it for the Nekroz cards. Next up, we have the second engine that supplements and stuff. I know this may seem old to a lot of you guys, especially in the Nekroz page. But these also serve another purpose. The Incantations, guys, we're going to go 3-3 of the ones that you just kind of just want to open just to get to the other ones. And then we have 3 Candles because you either want to summon it or see it. But we are playing 2 Talismans. We are playing 2 because this is the one you don't want to open. That's the one you don't want to see. This is the one you always want to summon to get to your monsters. And then we're on 1 Chalice Slime and 1 Inception again. it's all about like you. If you go first, essentially, you go do your like full combo and stuff. You're winning the game. Like you're going to win the game if you resolve your combo. But if you don't, again, it's like I have a lot of my locals have like these grindier matchups that just make it to where I have to play a long game, and these just kind of make it to where I can just play. I can essentially guarantee follow up turn after turn after turn, and just kind of keep playing. Especially since I don't have that many ritual spells, to be able to recover those ritual spells mid game is pretty crucial. And I've said it many times on the channel, if you are not prepared to play a grind game, you will lose every single grind game. Next, here, the whole spice behind the deck. Here we go. It's going to be starting with 3 Deep Sea Arias. This is why we're playing 3 Colossalis and 3 Brio. Just all the discarding effects you want to... If you see Deep Sea Aria, you really want to see Brionic or Colossus to be able to banish them to add your Deep Sea stuff. Again, this engine doesn't seem like it should even work in a deck like Nekroz, but it works incredibly well. It just synergizes. It just so happens that these things discard, they're waters, you make arc lights, they go grave, you search. It's just... It's just crazy. But yeah, for the engine, how big is our engine? We are on 3 Diva because you really want to see Diva as much as possible with Bells and Arya. 1 Neptibus, you really don't want to open it, you rather open Diva. 3 Dragoons, in the event that you open one of the Dragoons, you can still dump and add. Also, it increases your chances of seeing it in like let's say access to a Minstrel. To really get yourself going if you didn't have yourself going. And 2 Deep Sea Minstrels. It's still a really good card to just open and just take a peek at your opponent's hand and snipe stuff out of it. So, yeah, that's the Deep Sea stuff, man. So, obviously, if we're on the Deep Sea stuff, you're gonna see stuff like Mullen Glacia, obviously. Lapis Dragon is very good as well if you already open this, or... Let's say you're playing against a deck that you don't want to kind of, like, you know what I'm talking about, like, if you don't want to throw stuff in the grave, there's another way to play this stuff out, and I'll show you that a little bit later as I get into the extra deck. But, like I alluded to earlier, we are playing, like, a Neo Fiber combo as well, so we are playing 001 Cult Wing. Another reason you want to play 60, you don't want to just see your bricks. We're also playing a Creation Resonator, because you can... rip your opponent's hand apart and then put up negates at the same time. Again, if you resolve your combo, it's game. And yeah, after I'm done with the main deck and all that, I'll kind of go over what you want, what your game plan is, or what you really want to go for with this engine. And of course, for a little defense, we're on 3 Gamma and a driver, since we are on a couple of level 8 sinks as well. I actually managed to get it off, especially on against a DPE. Going, activating the graveyard, and it was like Gamma, and just dropping Omega on the board, and we're having fun. Alright, and the last few cards for consistency purposes, we're on 3 preps. Obviously, we are on the 1 called by, because it's limited, and you do want to stop some hand traps, obviously. And 2 Pot of Avarice. This card, every time I saw it, it performed. Really, most of the time I would just shuffle my imps, because I would go through quite a bit of them. I would just shuffle my imps just so I can continue to play a grind game or a long game. And I would just either draw into an imp or draw into Nekroz stuff and all that. And I would just keep the Chalice Slime and all that stuff in my hand. So yeah, that is a very loaded main deck. So let's get into some of this extra deck, guys. Of obviously Needle Fiber Rorodon. Right, once you go do your Diva stuff, right, and you do your Neptibus, and you drop your you'll summon your Needle Fiber and you summon your 001 first, then you'll drop your Mullen Glacia, because at that point you have 5. You don't want to wait until you summon a Rorodon, because then you'll have 6. And again, if you discarded a Nekroz card and you have Deep Sea Aria, Arya will essentially fix your grave to where you're gonna still have 5 when you make the needle fiber. 3 arc lights. This is very, very self-explanatory. But in this build, it's even it has even more. It has just other uses as well. If you don't open that good, but you open ways to get to fiber, you can just sit on multiple arc lights, negate a couple of cards, and just search what you need. So that is definitely something worth noting. Next, we have a Cupid pitch. This goes into Baron or Omega, or vice versa, based on how you play your setup. Omega, so you can rip a 4th card. So how I play this out typically with Deep Sea Minstrel, obviously you want to hit hand traps. But if you don't see hand traps, like I'll look at the worst card that they have in their hand, I'll rip their worst card, and then I'll go, and that makes it to where Mullen Glacier and Omega is way more likely to hit their good cards or hit their better cards out of their hand. If that makes any sense. But if they do hand trap you and you still find a way to fiber, then they just essentially lose their entire hand. Now, what I was alluding to earlier, if you are unable to go for like the hand loop or whatnot, there is another way you can play this out. Remember those like TJ Hyper Librarian like draw combos with the Rodon and stuff? Yes, you can do that with that Lapis Dragon. With that Lapis Dragon, if you already have like Mullen Glacier in your hand or whatever, or if you just want to go for the Lapis Dragon, you can Lapis Dragon, drop it, you can link Lapis and Neptibus into Needle Fiber. Going to your Rodon, the Diva is level 2, and you just sink one of the tokens into Hyper Librarian, and you'll draw like 5 cards. Like, hands down, you will draw like 5 cards. Because you're, sinking, make Librarian, and then you sink with 001 into like an Arc Light, right? You tribute Arc Light and the other token after you've already drawn, and then you make your Cult Wing, then you search off Arc Light, you make your Cupid Pitch, you draw another card, you sync with the Cupid Pitch into like a Baroness de Fleur, or an Omega, you draw another card, and you drop the Creation Resonator and make the other Synchro, and you draw another, or just have the nuts and you draw another card, or you just use the Creation Resonator with the Librarian and make another Synchro. Savage Dragon, because instead of making Baron, you could make these 2. Baron, obviously, it's very achievable with Cupid Pitch plus Cult Wing, so that's good news. A Blazar Dragon, just for an old Kaleidoscope target, just to like drop a Trish if you need to, just on a dime. An Entity for another Kaleidoscope target, or if your opponent's just playing Dogmatica stuff. Emerald, Dragaris, just in case. I never had the need to go into them. Rowan Roaster again, just if we're playing against like Dogmatica stuff. Which we didn't play against any Dogmatica, so that was good. Now, side deck was a little MVP as well. If I was able to side, I was able to side a lot of cards, and I was able to side a lot of cards out. That's kind of the beauty of a 60 card deck. It's very easy to side cards out. This was an auto win against a good amount of the matchups. Yeah, who knew, like, having a spell version of IO was good? Who knew? Especially when it involves games 2 and 3, when your opponent wants to side all these ridiculous spell cards. Denko locks down back row decks. Every Nekroz deck should be on Denko. Like, I'm pretty sure every Nekroz deck does play Denko still. They don't need the normal summon like that. It locks down the back row, it locks down IO. And all that, and like people who just are not versed in the Nekroz matchup just do not play around Denko, and they always just kind of lose to it. 3 Lava Golem, just beat stuff. Although, honestly, I feel like Spear Mode is better because it gets around Barrier Statue. I just don't have Spear Modes. So if you have Spear Modes, play Spear Mode. 3 Ruler, just more ways to deal with boards. Sidings of Borgs, just more ways to go first and do stuff. You just side your secret villages and stuff when you go first. You still try to rip your opponent's hand. If you don't have that, you can get into this. If you don't have that, you can draw into a secret village. Like, you have a lot of ways. You have a lot of win conditions, essentially. A lot of win cons you can access. And Mega Zaborg is just another one of those ways to kind of just win the game. Just outright, if it just resolves. Especially when you're playing Incantations, and you just choose 8 cards to rip out of your opponent's extra deck. And the one Pankratops because I had 14 side and I needed a 15th card, so I chose a limited card that can out IO. So that's the deck, guys. Like, the deck's wild. My matchups were, let's see, it was Flunderies. Ooh, man, Flunderies. What are my other matchups? I didn't play against Sword Soul, thank God. Jesus Christ, were my matchups really that forgettable? Was it really just that easy? Oh yeah, I played Birds. I played against Birds. I played against what was the other deck I played against? I played against Jesus Christ, I really wish I could remember what I played against. Oh, that's gonna get to me. That's gonna get to me. How? Then I played against Sky Strikers as well. I know I played against that. Sky Strikers is a free matchup, like no cap. Danko, free. Secret Village, free. Mega Zaborg, rip their whole deck apart, free. Just ripping their whole hand apart with the deep sea stuff, free. Like, this is like, it's just a free matchup, honestly. So, yeah, that's the deck. The deck did exactly what I wanted it to. Just, if I kept getting interrupted, I had all these like different resources and these different engines where I could just kind of keep pushing. If you Imperm Diva, and I was able to like put in special summon a monster like a Unicorn or something, I could just then make a Needle Fighter and just combo off and do what I want to do. Yeah, the deck did do exactly what I wanted to do. The deck was wild. Again, the deck is unorthodox. It's a very unorthodox Nekroz list. Again, a deep sea Nekroz list. It doesn't even seem like it should work. Just, you know, you would think this is supposed to be like Mermail stuff, but no, it works in Nekroz. It, for some reason, for the life of me, it works. So, yeah, that's it for the profile, guys. Alright, guys. How'd you guys do? What'd you guys think? My bad. Deck is wild, right? It's unorthodox, 60 cards. It just has so much going on. It does not struggle to play the game. It just doesn't. It's like you're always going to have some kind of engine. One thing leads to the next, which leads to the next, or this to this to this, vice versa. It just looks like it doesn't work, but it just works very, very well. Don't know why, don't know how, it just does. So, yeah. What do you guys think, man? Wild stuff, right? That's some nice rogue with spice for you right there. Aha! Rogue will never go meta, meta will always go rogue at some point and just do its thing. And once again, we have another example being Deep Sea Nekroz. So, definitely leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Very much appreciate it. What do you guys think about this deck? Do you think it's too bricky, too many cards, 60 cards? Honestly, it's just a big toolbox. This is a big just resources. That's literally all it is. It's just nothing but extra resources, and I can play the long game and I can play the grind game when I want to. So, but it worked. It worked out. So, yeah, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is J Money, and I am signing out.
Won't you make up your mind? 'Cause I'm getting tired of overthinking every move you make, and I can help you decide who you're loving now, and how I'm not quite there somehow.